Candy and Tiny.
There's only two of them? There's only two of them. Yeah. They broke up. They broke up, y'all. Stop playing. Stop playing. For real. Because they got all the crabs on.
Good morning.
Wow.
Good morning, everybody.
Listen, it is so wonderful to have you here with us today. And it's wonderful that you're back on the music scene. So tell us a little bit about why you guys decided to come back together.
Woo. Well, it's an interesting story. Well, actually, it's kind of crazy. Somebody was putting together an unauthorized movie about our group. And so when we caught wind of it, of course, everybody was not happy about that. And we started reaching out to each other through Tiny. You know, Tiny's always the middle person. So everybody started reaching out through Tiny and, you know, trying to figure out what can be done. And so that started conversations back for the group and to figure out how to take control and be able to tell our legacy like it needs to be.
Tiny, did you feel that that the unauthorized bio wasn't going to portray the story the way that you felt it should be told? What were your concerns?
I definitely feel like it wasn't going to portray the way we would tell it. You know, I feel like it was going to be watered down because it was going to be information that they've already heard or, you know, seen, because that's the only way you can really do an unauthorized movie. You can use stuff that's already been out, and everything that's been out is not true. So I felt like if the story is gonna be told, we should tell the story, you know, so you can get the real.
So, I mean, 20 years ago you started and you spent a good amount of time apart. So talk a little bit about what your experiences were like, what professionally and personally in that time that you guys were apart. What are some of the lessons or things that, you know, you realized in that time apart?
Ooh, I learned a lot since the group has been separated. I learned so many things about the business, especially certain things that I feel like we didn't capitalize off of when we were younger. I mean, we didn't tour enough, so it was a lot of money that we missed out on. Even though we were very successful, we had 3 platinum albums and multiple, you know, top 10 hits, but for that type of success, I don't feel like we walked away with the type of money that we should have. You know, I feel like we should have been writing a lot more. It's kind of crazy, after Tiny and I, we did No Scrubs right after the group, you know, separated or whatever. And when I started seeing those checks, I was like, man, this is what we've been missing out on all this time. So it was just a lot of things, business-wise, that I felt like, that I see now, that I felt like, you know, we should have really stepped our game up. But we were so young then. You know, we came to the industry as teenagers.
How were you guys then?
When we first signed to So Def, I was 16. Yeah.
I'm 17.
Yeah.
Tiny, what are some of the things that you learned in the time apart?
Thank you. Just growth, like, you know, growing as an artist, you know, like she said, writing more, because we had started writing a little bit, but like, it was like, the writing is really where it's at. And for us to actually win a Grammy for writing, and we had been in this group so long, we had to figure out, like, what did we not do right while we was in this group? So we just took some of those things, those lessons, and like put it towards, you know, the future, like going on to the next step.
When you look back at your early days, how are you applying the lessons that you've learned since then? If you were to go back and do something over again, besides the writing, what are some things that you would do differently, knowing what you know now?
Learn the business. Because back then it was like, oh, you guys are artists, let us do this, let us do that, you know, and we did. We stepped back and just, you know, we got on stage and performed. instead of learning the business as we went, you know. I think that back then they didn't want us to be involved in any of it, and which we really should have been, you know. So we'll know more about our money and where it's going, where it's been spent, and how to save that, you know, save our money.
Do you think that's because you were young, or do you think it's because we were women, or do you think it's a little bit of both?
I think it was because we were young, mainly. You know, you got 4 different young ladies in a group together. It's already hard to manage 4 different personalities. And so they probably just felt like it was just easier just to say, okay, y'all just be here when we tell y'all to be here, instead of having 4 different people giving input on, well, yeah, I don't want to do that, or I do want to do that. Because even now, as adults, it's hard to all be on the same page at the same time.
And I don't mean like forcing our opinion, like, yeah, we don't want to do it. Just knowing what's going on as we're doing the steps. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't really know, you know, what was behind all the stuff that we were doing.
So talk about that a little bit. You touched on it a little bit, Candy, just kind of like 4 different personalities. Was there a lot of competition between the 4 of you? What was your dynamic then, and how is it different now?
It's so funny. I think now we all see it. When we look back in hindsight, everybody sees it a different way. Me personally, I'll be honest and say that I felt like, Tasha and I bumped heads a lot when we were younger. But I guess because, all of us have strong personalities, definitely. But I feel like, back when we were younger, she and I definitely had a vision for what we saw for the group and what we were trying to do back then. Yeah.
And now?
Well, me, I got along with everybody, even though I would have my fallouts with everyone. Mainly me and Tasha. I was just saying how me and Tasha really had bad fallouts. But as soon as we fall out, we'll be like, hey girl, what you eating? I'm gonna come up. So it's like, I don't know, maybe that's just me and my personality, but I will like go crazy for a little moment, then I get back.
Okay, so let's talk about the reality series a little bit. What can we expect? Should we expect it to be a more seasoned version of your dynamic? How are you guys? How are you feeling about coming back together? And do you have any kind of nervousness about all of that being on? Well, you've been on a reality show, but you both have. But any nervousness about the 4 of you being together again in that way?
I think we all went into the show kind of after.
Oh, we was asking for y'all! Where y'all was at? They was mad and
Looking good, ladies.
Y'all, we was waiting for y'all.
Welcome.
Hello. How y'all doing? Hi, everybody. Sorry we're late.
Right.
Okay.
Why?
My baby got married last night, so.
What baby?
Got married. And we were partying all night, so we had to catch a red eye, so we just got here. So. What we missed?
Well,
A lot.
you missed a lot,
Girl.
but that's okay. We were just getting ready to talk about the reality show and the 4 of you coming back together, and just what should we expect to see from the series? What kinds of things should we be anticipating?
Well, what you will see is forgiveness. What you see is our 4 women who matured, who've gone through the storm, learned that love conquers all. 4 women who've spread their wings and did everything individually and came back, because they say separation brings on appreciation. And now we come together as sisters, and it feels real good, y'all. And thank y'all for the support. We appreciate it.
Are you guys putting together some new music in this in the reality series as well?
Well, right now we're just focused on putting together our shows and this reality series. It's like you really get to watch us as we put together last week's show for BET that we did. And
It was
then,
great!
Our way here. Doing our first show here and tomorrow in Detroit. So it's like following the road of how it all comes together.
And let me say, guys, this is our very first hour-long show. So.
definitely, as you mentioned, you definitely have grown, matured. So tell us about how do you define success, each one of you, at this point in your life? How is it different, your definition of success now versus then?
Oh.
You can start.
You said, okay, can you repeat the question for me?
It's, well, I mean, you know, success is different at different points in your life. 20 years later, how do you define success now versus back then?
Well, back then we felt like we had to sell like, what, maybe 8 million records to be successful. And now just being mothers and wives, we feel like that's success in its own right. You know, being able to jump in someone's hats, you guys know how it is. And being able to sing and then come back and still take care of your family. And to do that with appreciation for God and just the family and our foundation, I think that's success within itself. Yeah.
You spoke for everybody. Thank you.
All right, ladies.
I love you.
Well, I mean, I want to give the two of you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what we started out in the beginning, talking about how at your start, at the very beginning of your careers, there were things that you wanted to do, thought about doing, but didn't know the business well enough to do. So can you talk a little bit about those things that, you know, the lessons that you've learned, things that you wish you knew then that you know now? Like, what do you wish you knew then, back then, about the business?
We really didn't know the business coming into it. We were very naive. We started at, what, I think you were 14, 15?
Yeah, when we first started our group, when we signed to get our deal, I was 16.
16 years old, so there's no way in the world that we would have known anything about the business. So we've learned just by trial and error. I'm just trying to...
Well, I could say that the business is really quicker. Like, you know, we didn't know that if, you know, we were overseas touring. We was touring, it was going great. We missed one city and it's like, you guys can never come back again. You know, we didn't know that it was like, you know, those relationships would be tarnished from one mess up, you know. So those are things that we learned, and we never really, we went back a little later. Didn't we go back overseas?
I don't know if we went back or not. I think you probably went back over there.
Okay, well, we also...
That's awkward.
Just going through, like, we had some issues, like, with a radio station, you know, where they stopped playing our music for a long time, and they dogged us out every morning. They talked about us really bad.
They talked about us because when we went to the radio station, they had no idea that we had, what 3 or 4 shows within the day?
Right, so we were doing the graduations grad night in Florida. And so we had 3 shows a night. Yeah! Okay.
Fly from Florida to LA.
We had 3 shows a night, and then we flew from Florida to LA. We went straight to the radio station. We were really tired, and they pretty much got mad because we were kind of, you know, down. And they docked us out every day for, I don't know, maybe a year or so. Like, I mean, they wouldn't play our music. And then Who Can I Run To came out, and it was such a big success that they had to start back playing.
What radio?
So that's what happened.
I want to know.
Yes, he will.
Well, ladies, I know that the fans really appreciate you coming back. Is there a message you want to share with the fans as we wrap up?
I just want to say to the fans that I really appreciate the love that you guys have shown us.
Yes, thank you.
You know, I think it's kind of overwhelming how much love people have shown towards us when we first announced, from the first show that was announced to, you know, when we did the BET Awards. It's just been overwhelming, you know. We knew we had fans, but I mean, I feel like now it's like 10 times as many as we did back then. And it's an amazing feeling.
We love you guys too. Thank you.
All right, ladies. well, they're telling me to wrap up, so thank you for being here. Thank you all for listening.